All right, let's get right into it. Today could be one of the most important days in Ukraine's recent history, and it all centers on a really high-stakes peace plan. But the big question is, what's the real cost of that peace?
Just think about that for a second. While world leaders are meeting in warm, comfortable rooms, millions of people on the ground are facing a brutal winter without power. And at the same time, their president is facing intense pressure to give up land that his soldiers have died fighting for. The decisions made in just the next few hours, well, they're going to echo for generations to come.
And the epicenter of this whole diplomatic storm is London. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has just touched down for a series of meetings that could literally reshape the future of his country.
So who's at the table? We're talking about the heavy hitters of Europe. The UK's Keir Starmer, France's Emmanuel Macron, and Germany's Friedrich Merz. And he's not done after that. Later today, he's heading straight to Brussels for talks with NATO and the EU. You can just feel the immense pressure of these conversations.
But, there's a bit of tension simmering under the surface. It's being reported that European governments have been pretty frustrated, feeling like they were left out while Washington was drafting the early stages of this US-backed peace plan. So now they're trying to get some clarity and, frankly, get some influence over the final outcome.
Okay, so let's cut to the chase. What exactly is in this proposal that's making everybody so nervous? This is the so-called price of peace that's being debated right now. The deal on the table is a really tough pill to swallow. It's asking Ukraine to make three huge concessions. First, give up a significant amount of territory. Second, accept major limits on its own sovereignty. And third, and this is a huge one, hand Russia control over regions it hasn't even managed to take on the battlefield.
When you see it laid out like this, the imbalance is just stark. On one side, Russia gets territory it didn't even win, it gets a say in Ukraine's future policies, and it gets international recognition for its claims. And on the other side, Ukraine has to surrender land its soldiers died for, accept limits on its own independence, and essentially be forced to legitimize the very aggression it's been fighting against.
And this isn't just some theoretical proposal on a piece of paper. Oh no, it's being pushed, and pushed hard, with a lot of political pressure coming from across the Atlantic.
Just this past weekend, former U.S. President Donald Trump jumped into the debate, publicly criticizing Zelensky for not just taking the deal. He claimed, without offering any proof, that Ukrainians love the deal and that Russia is fine with it too.
But wow, the pushback to that idea was immediate and fierce. Ukrainian politician Ivana Klempich-Tyndzidze came out and said flatly that the terms are so damaging, quote, "No Ukrainian would ever support that." And that contrast right there, it just shows you the huge disconnect between some of the political talk and the actual reality for Ukrainians.
And that brings us to the most critical perspective in all of this. Because far away from the polished halls of diplomacy, the situation on the ground in Ukraine, well, it tells a very different story.
This is where we talk about Ukraine's red line. It's where the abstract language of international relations slams right into the harsh, cold reality of war for millions of people.
Our correspondents in Kyiv are reporting another weekend of devastating Russian strikes that have been targeting critical energy infrastructure. What that means is millions of people are dealing with long blackouts in freezing temperatures. So, is it any surprise that there's deep public skepticism about this deal? Many people see it as rewarding Russia's aggression, and for them, giving up their land is an absolute red line. No question.
A Ukrainian journalist in Kyiv summed up this feeling perfectly. They said, "You cannot build peace by giving away the pieces of your own country." And that just captures it, doesn't it? This powerful idea that real peace can't be built on a foundation of surrender.
So you might be wondering, why does this matter so much to the rest of the world? Well, because the outcome of these talks could set a really dangerous precedent, with consequences that could stretch way beyond Europe.
The politician we heard from earlier, Ivana Klempich-Tyndzidze, she warned about this clash of priorities. It seems like Washington's main focus is on just ending the war quickly, getting a resolution fast, maybe at any cost. But Ukraine's focus is on something bigger, upholding international law and making absolutely sure that an aggressor isn't rewarded for their actions.
And that's the real fear. If this model of peace, where you invade a country and then get to keep some of the territory, if that becomes the new global standard, it could basically create a blueprint for future conflicts. It would signal to aggressors everywhere that, yeah, invasion can be a legitimate way to get what you want.
And this is all coming to a head today, right now. President Zelensky got to London this morning. He's in those meetings at Downing Street as we speak. And then, This evening, he's off to Brussels to continue these incredibly urgent talks.
This is it. A decisive round of diplomacy is happening right now, and it could determine whether Ukraine starts a new chapter of sovereignty or is forced into making concessions it's been fighting against since the very first day of the war. For now, all eyes are on London.
Which leaves us all with this one final, huge question. In a conflict this big, when you're faced with a choice between sovereignty and survival, who actually gets to decide? The leaders in the room or the people on the ground?